And I just kind of like froze and was like, is this for real? Is this really happening?
Everything just kind of stopped, and I was in utter disbelief.
That's when everything kind of went downhill for us.
Jesus' name, Jesus' name.
Michelle and Cory Green from Washington State shared how their daughter lost her battle with one of the rarest childhood cancers in the world.
So Livy, she was such a joy and a light in our lives. She was daddy's girl through and through. And she loved quads and playing soccer. She did taekwondo. I think her favorite thing was the quad riding.
Hi.
That was her peace and her sanity.
They noticed something was off with Alivia when she was 6.
Her first couple of soccer games, you kind of notice her arm dangling a little bit. And that was kind of the first symptom or sign that we kind of know something's not quite right. So after her second game or third game, we ended up taking her into the doctor because she was asking for help putting her coat on. And we spoke with the doctor down there, and he kind of looked at her and said that most likely it's a pinched nerve in her arm, that her left arm's not really functioning how it's supposed to.
You know, that doctor's appointment to the last soccer game that we took her to, where we're like, something is definitely wrong, because she is now, she's drooling and she has zero movement in her arm now. They took us to the ICU, and I had this dreaded feeling. It was where my nephew, he was 16 when he passed away from lymphoblastic leukemia, and that was in 2016. And I was like, oh God, no, please don't let this be cancer. That was like my first thought in my head. So, and I was just thinking, there's no way that it can't happen again, you know. It was a neurological doctor come in and say, these are the possibilities of what's going on. She said, there's a possibility of a stroke. There's a possibility of a brain tumor. There's a possibility of something else.
Alivia was diagnosed with DIPG, or diffuse intrinsic pontine glioma, a form of brain cancer.
And I just kind of like froze and was like, is this for real? Is this really happening? They actually separated us from each other when they did tell us. It was what you would see on a movie. Like, everything around you just kind of goes dark, and like you hear that womp womp sound, and it like everything is just centered in on what this person is saying. And I'm a person of faith, so the first thing that came in out of my mouth was like, well, my God's bigger, you know. And I didn't know exactly what they were telling me. I knew it was really bad. I don't think I heard terminal at that point.
They obviously pulled me into the hall and said, you know, this is what's going on. This is what we found, and these are the possible outcomes, all which lead to terminal. The average expectancy is about 9 months from date of diagnosis, which just kind of floored me. Like she said, everything just kind of stopped, and I was in utter disbelief.
So I didn't really know DIPG was terminal. I didn't look anything up until I got home. And that's when reality kind of set in for me.
They explained to Alivia why she didn't feel well.
So Michelle has a real tender way of talking to Alivia. And she explained everything without ever lying to her once about anything.
We did explain to her that she had a bump in the back of her brain back by her spine, and it was growing and causing pressure on her nerves and everything in her body, and that's why she's not able to move her body. And the doctors are doing everything they can to help her and get her movement back, and we're praying, and everybody's praying for her. What happens when you get adrenaline? It's a fight or flight situation, and everything in me wanted to run, but I couldn't because that was my child. It was like, please just save my child at that moment. The doctor told us that it could give us more time, but there's no guarantee for more time by doing radiation. And we were told, and this is in the whole DIPG community, go home and make memories. The worst thing that you could possibly hear is go home and make memories. I'm sorry, we have nothing that we can do to save your child. Just go home and make memories.
Michelle's sister encouraged them to start treatments.
She was like, please just try. And because she had lost her child to cancer.
It was radiation in combination with a chemotherapy pill, telazolomide, and which they told us up front that the chemo treatment wouldn't really have an effect to fighting the cancer, but it would potentially help the radiation penetrate into her brain a little bit better. So we went ahead with both of those treatments.
But she just kind of took everything in and just was like, okay, I'm doing this. She was the bravest little warrior I've ever seen in my life. And I was amazed by her. I was amazed by her strength through it, because I mean, she had to get fitted for the radiation mask, and that thing has holes in it, but it's super tight to the face. And then you're screwed into a table. Then she had to have a port put in order to be able to access that quickly without it having her getting poked every single time. And all those little things that she had to do, she very rarely fought. She just did it. Like the doctors had said, radiation usually doesn't shrink a tumor in DIPG. It's very, very rare that happens. Our MRI that came back, it had shrunk. It had gone from the size of a lemon down to the size of a pea, and what was left, what the doctor said, was necrosis. So at this point, we're like, are we looking at a miracle? Are we actually witnessing a miracle? We had churches all across the United States praying for Alivia. Our community every night at 8:15 coming together and praying for Alivia. So we were like, we are witnessing something amazing, because this is so rare, I mean, what are the odds? 1 in a million or something. So yeah, that was a good day. That was a really good day.
Jesus, you are number one.
That was kind of a turning point for an upswing right there.
Yeah.
With her beginning to get movement back in her legs and arms, she got some of those nerves firing again.
Yeah.
Stuff started talking.
Thank you guys so much.
So we were very, very grateful that she was able to start moving again, playing baseball, running around.
She was doing so good. So she had a good from November to the middle of March.
Over time, symptoms returned.
As I started noticing that her eyes started turning in. And I was like, oh no. When it came back with a vengeance. The first thing that went was her voice. And I had noticed her arm started doing something, and I was like, it's coming back. So I was in the car crying, trying to figure out how to explain to Alivia that the bump is coming back. And I finally just took her on my lap and I explained it, and I named what she had. I told her it's DIPG and explained that, and other kids have it. And one of the last things that she ever said was, "That's okay, Jesus has a plan for me."
They decided to restart treatments and do a clinical trial.
Flying back and forth to Denver, which was the only place offering it.
We didn't have the finances to travel back and forth to Colorado. And our town came together and raised over $18,000. And our town is I think maybe 6,000 to 7,000 people live in our town. And for that to happen was just another miracle in our eyes.
But Alivia's health slowly declined.
Nothing's changed. If anything, it's gotten a little worse with the feeding tubes and the constant care. At that point, there was no limb movement, no vocal voice, no anything. So we decided as a group that it wasn't safe to get her on a plane anymore. The last time I had taken her there was on a flight, and it was challenging at that point, navigating the TSA and everything with a wheelchair and an immobile child, and then getting her on the plane, off the plane.
Our options were running out, but the doctors were trying so hard to help us. Any Hail Marys that we could, we were doing it. I told my husband, we have to try. Like, we're not gonna just give up. We have to try. You don't want to believe that your child's dying, so you're doing everything you possibly can to save them, even though the diagnosis is terminal. That's when everything kind of went downhill.
On Thanksgiving, she had a seizure.
She wasn't up front and center anymore. She was no longer really there. You know, she was pretty much gone at that point.
Before that seizure, we had been communicating through mostly eye movements. She would be able to go up and down with her eyes, or go like this with her eyes. Yeah. And after that point, that ceased all communication, and that was the final kind of where we knew. She had a feeding tube at that point. Yeah. Because she wasn't able to eat.
It became like an emergency situation. Like, she is no longer getting air.
Yeah, they were very hesitant to take her off of the intubation. And so we sat for a day, 24 hours in the hospital, and they watched her and stuff. And they said that there's a chance that they take it out, she's going to pass, that she won't wake up from this. So there was a doctor in particular, Dr. Jones. She asked us our wishes. And our wishes, of course, were for her to be at home with her family, surrounded by everybody when she passes, if that's what was going to happen.
January 1st, everything started to go downhill as far as her breathing. I mean, this is hard to talk about, but I feel like it's worth sharing because this is the reality of what happens is, you know, we started hearing the rattle and we knew that she wasn't going to be there for long. I had gone to take a shower and Cory was watching her. And at the time, Cory was like, you know, talking to Alivia and saying, it's okay, Liv, it's okay, Bug, you can go, it's okay. And after I had gotten out of the shower, I had whispered to her, I was like, it's okay, Bug, it's okay, you can go. And it was within an hour that she was like, I'm leaving this place, I'm leaving this body.
7-year-old Alivia died on January 2nd, 2023.
My whole family, his whole family was there. And we were praying, and everybody had their eyes closed and I didn't. And I was watching, and I saw her spirit leave her body. She looked at me and she had this gold light in her eye. And I saw like a flash go like this, and this gold light go like this, and then like a sheer beam up into the roof. And at that moment, I knew she was gone. I had said, she's gone. And sure enough, she was gone. So I watched her leave.
It was very peaceful and very beautiful because she didn't struggle. It was just instant relief. Yeah. It wasn't a painful transition, her going. It was very peaceful. And of course, we were broken and crying, but in the back of our heads, we were also relieved that she wasn't in pain or suffering anymore.
Alivia wanted to be a police officer, so their town's chief of police helped make her funeral extra special.
During her ceremony, they presented her with the flag and the colors and everything, and it was all her teachers got up and spoke, the ones that were meaning a lot to her, you know, and we shared a slideshow of her and just the law enforcement being there and saluting her.
They honored her.
They gave her a full caravan through town. And the school came out and everybody stood on the sidewalks. It was an amazing send-off for her going through town, starting at our church all the way through town to the cemetery where we had her buried. Yeah, it was a very beautiful ceremony.
Michelle relied on her sister Melissa, who had lost her own son years before.
She's just the sweetest person I know. And she just was there every step of the way. I mean, it's such a horrible situation to walk through, but I'm grateful that I have her to walk through with it and I'm not alone. At the same time, like, people are like, does this like run in your family? Is this like, you know, a genetics or whatever? And we actually asked the doctor that, and it was completely unrelated. And we, you know, like, what are the chances of that?
Yeah, Dr. Henderson said it's very rare for, you know, people that close to experience two totally separate childhood cancer diagnoses within that time span, and, you know, have to go through it twice in a 7-year period.
The parents say they're still in the grieving process.
It's like the whole world around you continues to go on, but you stop in that moment. For me, it's, you know, I love snuggling with her and watching movies together, and just I missed holding her is the main thing, and her voice.
I really miss the hugs after work was the big thing. It was always the run up to the door and the anticipation of coming home and, you know, her being right there. And that was 99% of my time after work was spent with her, just hanging out. She was my buddy. I mean, that's what we did.
Michelle now uses social media to connect and keep Alivia's memory alive.
I just wanted to share her, and I wanted to share about what she had gone through. I don't want her to be forgotten. Her life mattered. Every parent would say that their child's life mattered.
Is it peaceful? Is it free like they say?
And they hope getting the word out will help find a cure.
I mean, we don't want any more kids going through this. You know, we want a cure for this. We need help. We need more options than just radiation. You know, they say it's about 200 to 300 cases a year in the US of children getting diagnosed with DIPG. And we just really want, you know, more funds, the Congress to push for more research, more availability, because these children deserve it. My sister and I started a foundation called the Bubba and Bug Fund through the May Day Foundation. And that is through, the purpose of it is for local families that have been affected by cancer to kind of have, you know, somewhere to go to get finances for help to make memories, or if they need, you know, a power bill paid or whatever they need it for.
Cory says going through a child dying is extremely difficult, but says parents in the same position have to make the most of the little time their children have left.
You are alone through a lot of this process, and that's one thing we weren't prepared for, is because it's 24 hours a day. When you're like 2-3 in the morning, being a nurse, being everything, a nutritionist, nobody prepares you for that. How to clean quarts, how to clean feeding tube. That's the time that nobody really tells you about, and that's something to be definitely prepared for. There's a lot of lonely nights. Every decision's different for every family. Don't take criticism about the decisions you do make, and make all the memories you possibly can while you're going through it.
For more information on DIPG, visit cancer.gov. For Inside Edition Digital, I'm Andrea Swindall.